This is Food for Thought, Season 2, Episode 1, entitled What We Got Wrong. Welcome back to Food for Thought. I'm your host, Jack, and this is Season 2. And I want to start a little bit differently. Not with what I figured out, not with what I want to teach, but with what I got wrong. Because if I'm being honest, there were moments in Season 1 where I felt like if I could just explain things clearly enough, if I could just lay out the logic, the theology, the reasoning, then people would see it. They'd understand. They'd agree. Maybe even change their minds. And I don't think that's true anymore. So today, I want to talk about that. Not just ideas, but corrections. The things I've had to unlearn. The places where life pushed back and said, not quite. Because if season 1 was about exploring truth, season 2 is about being refined by it. Segment 1. Segment 1, I'm calling Clarity Isn't Conversion. Let me start with the big one, the one that probably stings the most. I used to think that if I explained something well enough, people would change their minds. That clarity leads to agreement. That truth, once clearly seen, is irresistible. And on paper, that sounds right. But in real life, it doesn't work that way. Because people aren't just thinking beings, we're emotional, relational, defensive, complicated. And when you come at someone with a fully formed argument, even if it's correct, even if it's well thought out, it can feel less like an invitation and more like pressure. And pressure creates resistance, not openness. Let me give you a real example from my own life. I've had ongoing conversations with my brother around the rental property we share. And a lot of those conversations weren't one off, they were repeated. Same questions, same concerns, over and over again. At the time, I remember feeling this constant pressure to reassure him. I would explain things clearly, go over the details, answer every question honestly. And then a few days later, the same questions would come back. And I started to feel it internally. There was this kind of stress, like a weight, like a vice in my stomach. Because part of me was thinking, I've already explained this. Why isn't this enough? And if I'm honest, there were moments where I felt frustrated, even a bit defensive. Like, I'm handling this. Why do I have to keep proving it? But I didn't say that. I stayed calm. I kept answering. I tried to reassure him. I tried to be steady, a kind of anchor in the conversation. But over time, something became clear. Repeating explanations didn't resolve the underlying concern, and the reassurance alone wasn't fixing the trust issue. The conversation wasn't really about information, it was about trust, pressure, and perspective. And that realization changed how I approach situations like that. It showed me that clarity by itself doesn't always create confidence in someone else. And sometimes No matter how well you explain something, the dynamic underneath the conversation matters just as much, if not more. Pushback, defensiveness, walls going up. So, yeah, that was something I got wrong. Clarity doesn't automatically lead to conversion. Sometimes it leads to resistance. Segment 2: Understanding isn't enough. And this connects to something else I had to confront. I used to think that if I understood something deeply, I would naturally live it out. That knowledge would translate into transformation. But there's a gap there, a real gap. You can explain patience and still lose your temper. You can talk about humility and still be full of pride. You can understand faith and still struggle to trust. And that gap, it's humbling because it shows you that truth isn't proven by how well you can articulate it, but by how it holds up in your life. And a lot of the time, it doesn't hold up as well as you thought. Not because the truth is weak, but because you're still being shaped by it. That was another thing I got wrong. I thought understanding was the destination. It's not, it's the starting point. Segment 3: People are not projects. Here's another one. I used to approach conversations, especially deep ones, like they had an objective, like there was a direction they needed to go, a conclusion we should arrive at. But people aren't projects, they're not problems to solve or positions to fix. They're people with stories, experiences, wounds, and attachments. And when you treat a conversation like a mission to change someone's mind, they can feel it. Even if you don't say it out loud, they feel it. And it changes the whole dynamic. It stops being a conversation and starts being a quiet debate. And again, that creates distance, not connection. So, yeah, I had to let go of that. Not every conversation needs to end in agreement. Sometimes the goal is just understanding. Sometimes the goal is just respect. And sometimes the most honest thing you can do is leave space for someone to disagree with you. Segment 4: Life pushes back. And here's the part that ties all of this together. Life has a way of testing your ideas, not gently, but directly. You think something is solid until you're in a situation where it's not so simple. You think you're consistent until you see your own contradictions. You think you're clear until someone reacts in a way you didn't expect. And in those moments, you have a choice. You can double down or you can pay attention. And I've had to learn how to pay attention because those moments, they're not failures, they're feedback. They're showing you where your thinking is incomplete, where your approach needs work, where your understanding hasn't gone deep enough yet. And that's uncomfortable, but it's also necessary. Segment 5. What I'm trying to do differently. So, what changes now? What does this actually look like going forward? Well, for me, it's a few things. First, less urgency to convince, more patience in conversation, more listening. Second, asking more questions instead of jumping to explanations. Because sometimes people don't need your answer, they need to feel heard first. And third, holding my own views with conviction, but also with humility. Be willing to say, this is what I believe, but I'm still learning. Because the goal isn't to sound right, it's to become more aligned with what's actually true. And that takes time. It takes correction. It takes being wrong more than we would like to admit. So let me leave you with this. Think about something you were once completely sure about, something you could explain clearly, confidently. But now it feels more complicated. That's not a step backward, that's growth. Because real understanding doesn't just give you answers, it changes how you approach people, how you approach truth, how you approach yourself. And if you're willing to be corrected, really corrected, you don't lose clarity, you gain depth. Thanks for listening to Food for Thought. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who's been rethinking things too. Please hit like and subscribe for more content. And remember, question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Every question is a doorway, every answer is a light. We're all searching for a meaning through the long and restless night. Question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. Step beyond what feels certain, let your heart begin to see. It's the questions that awaken all we're meant to be. Question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. Not every answer's found in the light. Sometimes it's the journey through the unknown that brings us home. Question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. Not every answer is found in the light. Sometimes it's the journey through the unknown that brings us home. Question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. Not every answer's found in the light. Sometimes it's the journey through the unknown that brings us home. Question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you.